Hello everyone. Today we'll be introducing to a new topic called en passant. So it's basically a French term, thereby the complication in terms of pronunciation. However, we'll be using the more colloquial pronunciation that is en passant. So what is an en passant? En passant is basically a special kind of attack that a pawn uses to capture another pawn. So we all know how a normal pawn attack is. So in this position, normal pawn attack would have been carried out by capturing the pawn or a piece that is diagonally forward one square. So you need to keep in mind that normal pawn attack involves capturing either of a piece or a pawn. However, in the case of an n% can be carried out only on pawns. So you cannot capture a piece through n%. Also, the pawn captured must have been exactly adjacent to the white pawn, right? Unlike the case in the normal pawn attack. Now let's just see when n% can be carried out. So primarily you will get a chance to carry out n% when your opponent makes a 2 square pawn advance. Okay, it cannot be a 1 square pawn advance for you to carry out n%. And the second condition is that the 2 square pawn advance must have avoided the risk of being captured. As you can see in the diagram below, the leftmost pawn, when it makes its 2 square pawn advance, it was not avoiding any kind of risk of being captured. Had it played just 1 square advance, then the pawn is way away for a normal pawn attack. However, the case of rightmost pawn is that when it had made a 2 square advance, it was actually avoiding the risk of being captured. Moving on. So the final condition is that you have to carry out the n% immediately. That is, you cannot postpone the n%. As you can see in the diagram below, black plays 2 square advance, then white plays, and then again black plays. And here you cannot carry out n%. Now let's just see when you can how you can carry out the n%. Now in the case of n%, you can just imagine that the black's pawn has just made 1 square advance, and then you can carry out the capture. As you can see in the leftmost diagram, the n% is carried out, and in the case of rightmost diagram, a normal pawn attack is carried out when that pawn has made just 1 square advance. So ultimately the position in both these situation will be the same. Now let's just see a practical position where n% can be carried out. So here in this situation, if black plays from here to here, then you can carry out this n%. As you can see, it was a 2 square pawn advance. It was avoiding the risk of being captured, and you have carried out the n% immediately. However, this pawn advance would not have given you a chance to carry out n% because it was just making a 1 square advance. Also, had black played this 2 square pawn advance, even then you won't be having a chance to carry out n% because it's basically not adjacent to the white pawn, to say in simple words. So this is how an n% is carried out. Now let's just try to apply this n% concept on this position. Try to pause here for a few minutes and think of how to give a best response for white in order to win this position. You can pause here for a few minutes. So here in this position, white cannot reach out to the black pawns had they make this b7 to b5 pawn move. So basically it could end up in a draw position. However, here we can use this pawn move advance to a4 to a5, thereby avoiding this pawn advance anymore. because as we have seen, n percent is holding this pawn from this 2 square pawn advance. Now in this position, as you can see, there are only two alternatives for black to make, and therefore he can either go to king g7 and then white goes to king g5, and thereon black king has to stay here itself in order to stop this pawn from being a queen, and then after a certain moves, black is forced to stay here itself, and then this pawn movement becomes a forced situation, and after capture you will be able to win this game with the pawn promotion to queen. So this is how you can apply the n% concept for your advantage. I hope you like the video. Thank you.